In your question, you touched on a lot of very important points and questions that we had to ask ourselves. One of the questions we had to ask ourselves was, everywhere else in the world, why are they continuing to expand and build these plants? Number one. Number two, what is the underlying comparative advantage that one can bring with a modern plant compared to what was at British Dioxide or in Mbogotweni, as you know it? And those lessons, part of the feasibility studies and modeling were exactly to do with that. Now, to get into some of the issues, I don't know whether I'm allowed to disclose some of the issues or the owners of the plant might object in some forum. But it is known that the plant, when it was built, it started off as a pilot plant, later on expanded through retrofits, or upgraded to become a semi-commercial plant. And if you build a plant like that, you are not, you're not looking at the full commercial economic return, but you're doing it to develop a market or to develop a product. So that plant over the years, it went through those iterations. And in the world, it's known that any plant with a capacity less than 40,000 tons is uneconomic. The plant was doing 18 to 20,000 tons per annum as a size. So it was well known that, in terms of manufacturing cost, on the manufacturing cost curve, it was probably one of the highest, or sitting at the top or the highest end of the spectrum. The market itself has grown on a compounded basis for at almost 4% per annum. Every year there's an additional demand of more than 300,000 tons per annum of titanium pigment. The growth is generally linked to economic growth. Most of the pigment goes into paint. So when there's when people are doing RDB housing, they're doing new estates, when there's the launch of new cars coming into the market, the paint, all of that are the underlying factors that actually drive the demand. And globally, that has been growing every year. Now, that plant in Mbogotweni eventually was bought by Huntsman, and they're the ones who shut it down. Now, Huntsman did not stop supplying the same customers here. In fact, probably has increased what they send here, but they actually supplied from their international plants, either out of Europe or out of America. So what has happened is a process of rationalization in the industry, where people have looked at their capacity and said, where do I get the best margins in terms of manufacturing, and how do I service my customers? So the market never disappeared. In fact, it increased. But where it's being supplied from is just not from here, which is a pity for us. We have, moving into manufacturing competitiveness ourselves, there's one thing that we have that no one else will have in the world. All the plants in the world are designed generally to use one type of feedstock. So you either use rutile from Rio Tinto, which is 82 to 88% in titanium content, or you use ilmenite, which is about 52% in terms of titanium content, and the emergence of the waste legs from high-vol steel, which has 28 to 33% titanium content. Now, as you go down in terms of the lower quality, there are different dynamics that it introduces. The high-quality raw materials give you throughput and less impurities to deal with, but it's very expensive. It is the most expensive one, and the price for that, to some extent, because they slagging and smelting processes, there's a disconnect to the market that we sell to. So I'm mentioning this so that you understand between one of the issues that they faced, the disconnect between the raw material they use. We are the only plant, or we're building the first plant in the world that has the ability to blend, to switch to the high quality, low impurity feedstock. And in times of depressed market cycles, in terms of prices, we are able to go to the lower quality and throttle down our capacity, but still maintain our competitive advantage in terms of manufacturing cost. So those are some of the things that we have done to deal and address with that upfront. And if prices dip down, we will still be able, based on our model, to compete with those who are the lowest cost in terms of manufacturing in the world, either be China or some of the Chemours, formerly DuPont plants. So we have taken into consideration that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. Ladies and gentlemen.